What is up, guys? Pappy here, and in today's video I have the long awaited, at least for me it has been, Thunderclap build for PvP. Now, it's not the best, okay? Now, if I could use point contact cannon brace, I would, but currently it's disabled, so we can't use that one, but that might be for the best, and you'll see why here in a second. So let's go ahead and swap this back. So basically what you're going to want to do is we'll go ahead and go into the striker subclass first. So I've got thruster because it is amazing at PvP, being able to pull yourself out of danger any second that it gets a little too hairy, a little too spicy for you. You just pull out. It's super fast, super easy to use. It has the lowest cooldown of all the Titan class abilities, even though it's only about like 2 seconds from Rally Barricade, but still, it's very useful, much more useful than Tower and Rally Barricade. These are mostly PvE options, at least in my opinion. Now, I mean, if you're playing Control, or maybe some Trials or something, maybe these would be better, but in my opinion, Thruster's where it's at. I just use Thunder Crash because it's fun. I'm not gonna get as many more kills with just Fist of Havoc. I'm gonna get about the same amount with Thunder Crash, to be honest with you. Now, Fist of Havoc has more potential, but Thunder Crash, I just like using it more, so that's the one I'm going to go with. You could definitely swap these in and out. Now, on top of all the movement that you get from Thruster, go ahead and throw in Strafe Lift to add to that movement. You're not going to need Catapult Lift or High Lift. Now, there are some techniques that you can use Catapult Lift for more maneuverability than Strafe Lift, especially if it's more of a vertical map. But High Lift is definitely unnecessary. Then, of course, you're going to throw in Thunderclap. You can do the one burst with it, or you can charge it up full, or somewhere in the middle. It has a lot of flexibility with that. I use it to mostly clean up my enemies, and you'll see that in the clips I'm going to show, I think. So, Storm Grenade is, at least in my opinion, the best PvP Titan Grenade, along with, as long as you have Touch of Thunder on. If you do not have Touch of Thunder and you're using Juggernaut instead, this isn't worth it at all. Storm Grenade is just going to sit in that one spot, and it's not going to move, and you're not going to be able to cover a large range. So having this on allows it to move around and chase enemies, and that is a huge benefit, at least in my opinion. Another build I have is switching out a lot of this different stuff and a lot of my armor mods and everything. And I'll use Touch of Thunder with Armamentarium to give us that extra grenade, and we'll have 2 Storm Grenades. You have a lot of control. I'll probably do another video on that one. You'll have a lot of control over the battlefield if you do that. So down over here, so obviously we're using Knockout and Touch of Thunder. So moving down here to Fragments, we've got your Lingering Arc Grenades last longer, so that'll go for a Storm Grenade as well. Down here we've got, while critically wounded, your melee and grenade energy regenerates more quickly. Definitely useful. After sprinting a short time, your glass ability regeneration is increased, but minus 10 resilience. This one I love because it gets Thruster back even faster. If you watch my video on getting your Thruster class ability back in just 5 seconds, this is definitely a big part of that, so keep that in mind. Over here, taking melee damage briefly increases your outgoing melee damage, plus 10 resilience. What's cool is that it kind of cancels this fragment out if you use this one, because it just makes it 0. But this one can be useful. It'll help prevent trades. And now, one idea I haven't tried with this yet is using the ACD feedback fence. You could use this and that, and I haven't tried that yet, but I can only imagine, like, you might be able to one-shot people if you use this with that, and that would be fun. I'll probably try that in another build. So over here on our character, now your guns do not matter, at least in my opinion they don't matter. You could use whatever you want. I run Risk Runner a lot this season because that added arc resistance. So when taking arc damage, this weapon becomes more powerful and resist incoming arc damage. Kills extend the time of this overcharge state. This is an amazing perk to have in the current sandbox, because you're getting that arc resistance to tons of different sources of arc damage this season. Next season and seasons after that, it might not be as useful, but right now it's definitely my go-to. On top of that, Arc Runner is just a pretty good weapon, especially if they have the Catalyst and it adds that extra range. I use Tiger Spike because it's my old faithful. But one thing I want to mention is that if we go over here to our weapons, we go to sidearms. I'm only picking sidearms because it's the only one I know exactly where it's at. But with the new weapons of this season, you can get the right hook origin trait. And it says dealing melee damage gives this weapon increased target acquisition and range for a short period of time. Dealing melee damage again extends the effect. And then it can run with Pugilist. And it says final blows with this weapon generate melee energy. Dealing melee damage breathing improves this weapon's handling. So you could use this, and if you deal melee damage, you're going to get better target acquisition, better range, and better handling. All just by punching somebody, which you're going to be doing a lot of. So all that put together, I mean, you really get a lot of, and there's plenty of more perks it can run with, and you can obviously spec it out how you want, especially since this weapon is craftable, along with all the other seasonal weapons, especially since they all have right hook as an origin trait. And those could be a really good idea. Obviously, 1-2 punch, probably not the best in PvP, but there's a lot of different perks on your guns that affect your melee or melee regeneration. If you melee, it instantly reloads the weapon, that kind of stuff. So those are definitely good options. Another fragment to think about is you could probably run, if you didn't care about thruster or your barricade as much, you could run with this one. Sliding over an ammo brick reloads your equipped weapon and grants a small amount of melee energy. So you could be running and gunning and meleeing everything, and you could use this and throw on that extra melee energy by sliding over some special ammo or something. I believe you will need to have a special weapon equipped, so keep that in your head. Don't forget that, like, if you want to be able to pick up that special ammo, you're going to need a special weapon equipped that has room for it. So if you run around with this in PvP, make sure you have a shotgun, sniper, fusion rifle, any of that kind of stuff on you. A glaive even, which would be a lot more fun to add to this too. I just don't have the arc glaive yet, so I'm not going to be using it. But that's another idea that you can throw in there if you want to. On to our armor over here. So I'm using Insurmountable Skullfort, so I can go ahead and get back my Thunderclap the second I kill someone with it. I will be using Radiant Light to help me get my strength up. We should be getting our super ideally twice a match, which is significant, at least in my opinion. Most of the time I feel like you only get it once, maybe almost enough for the last like couple of minutes of the game. You might get it a second time, but it's pretty rare. So if you use hands-on though, you're going to be getting melee kills all the time, and you're going to get your super energy up. Being able to cast your super and charging all of your nearby allies with light is a big bonus to your team. Of course, strength mod, whatever you need to do to get your strength up to 100 is ideal. The two stats, or I guess I should say the three stats you want to have up the most is your recovery, resilience, and strength for this one, because you need your resilience up so you can survive long enough to use your fully charged Thunderclap. If you can't survive long enough to use it, then you're not going to get any kills with it. Now, a lot of this build is going to be based around not even taking damage. You're going to be pre-firing your Thunderclap. You're not going to be using it and charging up the whole time and then taking a bunch of damage and then unleashing it, because you'll probably die more than likely. Even with 100 resilience, it doesn't take long for your character to take enough damage to die if you're running around PvP, even with 100 resilience. So my advice is to have your resilience up high just in case, and then have your recovery so after you Thunderclap the opponent that you can get out of there and recover as quickly as possible. But strength is obviously the most important, just so we can get our melee back as quickly as possible. Now, you're going to not kill the opponent a lot of times with Thunderclap unless you get it fully charged, unless you've mastered pre-firing. Maybe you're a fusion rifle guru. That's whenever, if you're really good at fusion rifles, you're going to know how to use Thunderclap. So, but I'm going to have mine high, along with having all this other stuff to decrease the cooldown of my melee. For the times that I do miss, the times that I do mess up, or the times where I use it and then get hit with a super, or if I use it and then get hit with a million other things, sniped or something, I'm gonna need to be able to regenerate it quickly enough so I can use it later on. So even though the insurmountable skull fort's going to give it back immediately, even if we get the kill, I want to be able to get it back just in case, just in case I don't get that kill. On to this, we're running 2 melee kickstarts with some stasis gauntlets. I don't have enough space for anything down here, sadly, but this, again, it's just in case we mess up. We're covering our butts as much as possible, so we can use the melee as often as possible, even if we don't get kills. So melee kickstart refronts your melee energy as you use your melee, so that'll be good. Over here, I'm just running Powerful Friends to add that extra mobility, and whenever I become charged with light, my teammates will as well. All to, using Radiant Light and using Powerful Friends, your teammates should be buffed with Charged with Light pretty often, which will be good, especially if they're running high energy fire to, buff that. For any other mod on the chest piece, I'm just using Unflinching Auto Rifle because I love my Tiger Spite. It's the only reason I'm really using it. I could run Unflinching Submachine Gun, which I probably should because I feel like I use my Submachine Gun more, but I don't know. That's interchangeable, obviously. You can do whatever you want with it. For your legs, so you become charged by light by picking up an orb of power. Reduces all ability cooldowns each time you pick up an orb of power, and then reduce grenade cooldown when you pick up an orb of power. Now, I believe if you run the arc legs, you could put on Invigoration, reduces melee cooldown each time you pick up an orb of power. So that is an option, but I feel like I've got a lot of stuff regenerating my melee. So for this one instance, I decided to change it up and regenerate my grenade instead. And then over here, I've got Utility Kickstart ×2 to give me back my Thruster class ability even faster after I use it, and High Energy Fire, so I have boosted damage whenever I'm charged with light, which should be pretty often as long as I'm picking up orbs and staying next to teammates that use their super, as long as they have Radiant Light on too. But this is overall the build, and I'm going to show y'all some clips here in a minute of just how potent it can be. The first clip, I believe, is going to be like a double kill, which was fun, and I got some other several kills back to back with it, and that was a lot of fun too. So it could definitely be better if point contact cannon brace is extremely good. I know it was absolutely busted when it first released this season, but they disabled it nearly immediately. So if you want to go see how busted this was at first, you can go watch Destiny Fun Police's video on it. They played with it, and it was absolutely broken, man. It was one-shotting people on the lowest charge. It was crazy. So I can't wait for that to come out, and so I can use this again. But yeah, I'll show you all the clips now.
Keep the pressure on. Zone A lost. Double down. Strength in numbers, Guardian. Excellent. Victory is all I ask. Good. Zone B captured. This is wonderful! minutes. Zone B lost. 2 for 1. First place. You call that a win? I call it a massacre. Victory was yours, and yours alone.